Trying you right here. All right.
Okay. All right. Where do we go? Okay, up here.
All right, we're ready to start. Hey, wake up here. All right, it's a great day to be a Republican, isn't it? I tell you what there, what Trump has done, what Lindsey Graham's done, what the Republican Party has been doing here in South Carolina is just amazing. And it's wonderful to have our senator come at this time. But we're going to ask Larry to come up here and thank us for this food and just thank us for this time.
If you will, pray with me. Heavenly Father, we live in a nation that was built on biblical principles that came to being because you willed it, and you've given us such a great gift. How lucky we are to have been born in America. What a great gift, and we probably do not pause to thank you for that, but we're doing that now. And God, you gave us this great gift, and sorry to say we have done what you knew we were going to do. We've started going the wrong direction. And the only way we're going to keep this wonderful experiment of a constitutional republic is to come back to you. And we just pray that we will work for and help elect leaders who will help bring you back into our nation and restore our nation to the glory it has had before. So we offer ourselves as servants to help in that endeavor. And we just pray that you will be with all the leaders, local, state, and national, to bring back our country to us, to bring back our country to you. We pray these things in the name of your holy Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen.
I think I'm next.
Good. There you go. I can introduce myself. It saves money.
I'm J.D. Chaplin. I'm the state senator over Rock Cross, not too far away from here in Darlington County. I represent Darlington, Marlboro, Lee, Chesterfield, and Sumter counties. I got
and that ain't easy.
5 counties. I'm the first Republican to ever represent Marlboro County or Lee County, might I add. And I want to tell y'all something. I want to tell y'all a little bit about the gentleman I have standing next to me right here. This man right here is one of the reasons South Carolina has been so successful as it has over these past several years. The rest of the world is learning something we have known forever. South Carolina is paradise on earth, and this is the best place to live. I know some of my friends down in Horry County may disagree with me at this point, but it is. This is a wonderful state, and we are growing strong. The reason we're growing strong is because we have strong, bold, conservative leadership, not just in Columbia, but in D.C. as well. We are not the bulwark in which it breaks. We are where it is steadily advancing at. And that is because of people like our Senator Lindsey Graham right here. Because of our senator, we have more conservative judges now than we have ever had in our country. Because of our senator, work has been done to make it so that states have the ability to choose if we are a pro-life state or not. And South Carolina is unequivocally a pro-life state. I believe he's also been given the Susan B. Anthony Award when it comes to pro-life senators. That is a huge deal, I promise you. More importantly than all of that, our senator right here is one of the main reasons all of the Trump tax cuts from so many years ago are now permanent and on the books, because we know that our state and our country does better when you have more of your money in your pocket and not whenever the federal government is taking it away from you. Our senator right here has the endorsement. Our senator right here has the endorsement of not only Governor McMaster, not only Tim Scott, not only President Trump, but more importantly, he has the endorsement of myself, Senator J.D. Chaplin. And I promise you, the best for South Carolina is yet to come.
Wow. Thank you, buddy. I promise you this speech goes downhill after that. I tell you, it's a good year to be a JD, isn't it? Yeah, you got a bright future. They have children representing people over in Marlboro and Lee County. How old are you? How old are you?
31, but I was elected at 30.
Okay, all right. Well, you're aging well. Well, thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you for the great prayer. Is the barbecue good? Good. Well, let me tell you, there was a time in Florence you couldn't fill this room up if you're a Republican. Does anybody remember those days? I want to thank the Democratic Party for doing more for our party than we've been able to do for ourselves. One of the reasons that I'm standing here as your senator is South Carolina's figured out that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have got it wrong, and Donald Trump's got it right. And you got to remember, things can change. How many of you been a Republican for 20 years? All right. That's a good thing. Now, North Carolina and Georgia, I don't know what's wrong over there. They must have different water. But what I would say is that we can't keep our eye off the ball as Republicans. Things can go the other way. The only way the Republican Party can lose in South Carolina is to beat itself. Let's don't do that. Young people like JD make me feel good about the future, right? We've got a lot of young people coming along, and I want to pass on to them a strong party, a strong country. And to my friends in Florence, this county has changed dramatically in the last 2 election cycles. Because you make phone calls and you put yard signs up and you talk to your neighbors. And you turn out the vote. And this part of the South Carolina is changing. If you told me that Marlboro and Lee County would have a Republican representing them, I thought you should not be driving. But we're growing among minorities. There's a large African American population in this part of South Carolina, and our goal is to prove to them and everybody else that conservatism is good for you and your family, right? And the prayer got it right. God has blessed America from its founding, and it's not guaranteed that he will continue to bless us unless we earn it. Ronald Reagan said, "You're one generation away from losing your freedom." Does that make sense to you? Now, I feel good about our country, but I'm worried too. You got a communist running for mayor of New York City, he's probably going to win. Now, how did that happen? If you don't watch it, people will get comfortable with the government to the point that there's so much of it, there's nothing left. Now, when I was 21, my mom died. When I was 22, my dad died. My sister was 13. Social Security survivor benefits helped us. There's a role for the government. If you get hurt, you're down on your luck, we all want to help you. But the goal is to get you up and on your own feet. Their goal is to basically own you so you will vote for them. My goal is that you'll vote for me because I gave you a chance to move forward. And if you fail, you can get back up in the game. But their goal is to make sure that from the time you're born to the time you die, you need the government, and without the government, you can't go forward. That's what this election's about. So Donald Trump is the right man at the right time. And let me tell you why. Because he just told me that about an hour ago. I don't need a wake-up call. He's my wake-up call. I can set my clock, but I know like at 6:48 or 7:48 who's it going to be. And I said, let's try to do 8:48 one morning. But anyway, I talked to him this morning. He's very pleased with where we're at on Ukraine. We're not there yet by any means. But let's put it this way. Donald Trump has given peace a chance. And that's all you can hope for, right? They got to want peace more than we want peace. And when it comes to Ukraine, remind me not to invade Ukraine. These people will fight you. And that's a good thing. I'd like to think we'd be that way. Would we fight for our country? Would we fight for our homes? I hope we would. So I expect Ukraine to keep fighting, and I hope we can convince Putin to knock us off. I'm not out to humiliate him, but I'm out to give him a choice. If you keep this war going, we're going to crush your economy and make it clear to him, and maybe we can end this war. But
The last 6 months have been fun to watch and be part of. The last 4 years was a nightmare. There was no fun. Can you imagine if Harris had won? Just think about that for a minute. 4 more years of that crap. Sorry about that, preacher. I mean, we would have a country that we recognize, but we're back on track, but we've got a long way to go. The border. We haven't changed one law, but we've gone from the worst border to the best border because of who? Donald J. Trump. Now, I told the Chinese when they came in to see me about Trump, they said, we're trying to figure him out. And I said, well, get a number and get in line like everybody else. But if you're not afraid of him, there's something wrong with you. He's a man you can work with, but he's not a man you want to trifle with. And he tries to create win-win. I like that. I want a president that doesn't like war. I want a president that wants to find ways that everybody can, succeed. So that border is closed because he went to Mexico and he said, if you don't help me secure my border, I will tariff everything coming out of Mexico, and they did. The force of will. We went from the most to the best in 6 months. JD mentioned the big, beautiful bill. Well, I'm the budget chairman. I've been on the budget committee for about, at least a decade. I went to one meeting because we never did anything. All of a sudden, we had the House, the Senate, and the White House, and we got a chance to do reconciliation. And they called me and they said, you're going to be the budget chairman. I said, how can that possibly be? In the Senate, it ain't about what you know. It's about living longer than everybody to your right. Strom Thurmond taught me that just living a long time gets you to where you need to go a lot of time. So I am now the chairman, have an opportunity once in a lifetime. We've had 4 times in 100 years where the Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the White House. 4 times. And under our law of 1974, if you have all 3 branches, you can do a thing called reconciliation where you can avoid the 60-vote rule in the Senate. So Democrats used it to pass Obamacare. Not one Republican voted for Obamacare. That's how they got it passed. I told Trump, we got a chance and we're going to take it, and failure's not an option. I went to the first budget meeting. I said, you know more about the budget than I do, but I'm in charge, and you're going to vote yes when you need to and no when you should. And that was the budget rule. We're going to pass this dang thing. And Trump and Mike Johnson and John Thune did a wonderful thing. And I did my part of getting it out of committee. We beat every Democratic amendment, and we got it over the line. And the one big, beautiful bill is good for your country. In December, all the tax cuts that we passed in 2017 were going to expire. That would be a tax increase on working families. All the business taxes would change, and that would be bad. So now they're permanent, JD, for as far as the eye can see, because I made a decision as budget chairman to use current policy, not current law. And I didn't know what that meant, and you don't either, but I now know. If you choose current policy, they don't expire. I said, that's what we're going to do. And I don't want to hear any more explanations. We're just going to do that. And so the tax cuts are going to stay in place, $2,800 for a working family. Good stuff. $175 billion for the border. We can build more detention space. Remember Laken Riley, the young lady got killed in Atlanta? The man who killed her was in custody twice. They let him go. They had no bed space. He got out and killed her. We're going to build 100,000 beds. There'll be no more of that. So we're going to finish the wall. And we're going to hire more ICE agents. And I want South Carolina to be the most friendly place in the country to help ICE police illegal immigration. And I want to get rewarded for doing that. So that bill helped secure our border. And we did it without one Democratic vote. And let me tell you why. No Democrat was going to vote to build that wall. No Democrat was going to vote to make the tax cuts permanent. If we hadn't done it this way, we would have not done it at all. So $150 billion for the defense. At a time we need better defense, stronger defense. The world's on fire. I like that bill. I'm proud of that bill. I'm going to work to sell that bill, and I need you to help me sell that bill. Because if you're waiting on the media to tell our story, it never get told. Bob Dole said something I really like. If you don't toot your own horn, it don't get tooted. So I'm here to toot my horn. And to toot our horn, this is a team sport. We'll take some questions here in a second, but President Trump inherited a real mess. And he's done a heck of a job of turning it around. I literally talked to him this morning. I said, what can I help you do to get D.C. back under control? 200 National Guardsmen from South Carolina going to D.C. Good job, Governor McMaster. And I'm going to find them somewhere, and I'm going to buy them Chick-fil-A. if I can find them, I'm going to buy them Chick-fil-A. You can't have a great country unless you have a great capital. Aren't you embarrassed that D.C. is the murder capital of the world? Well, that's got to change, and it's going to change, and Trump's right to do it. We talked about rebuilding D.C. and making it a nicer place to go. Count me in for all that. He has a vision of making America great in a good way, where we're not telling everybody what to do. We need partners, but we need people to carry their share. NATO countries have spent $400 billion they hadn't spent before. That's the load off our back. We want to help people, they got to help themselves. So I feel really good about where we're going. 2026 is a big deal. If we can keep the House and the Senate, then we can do one more reconciliation bill. And we'll have 2 more years of putting judges on the bench. And I'm going to end with this. We got 3 branches of government. The judiciary, for many decades, was the most liberal branch of government. If you couldn't get a law passed, they would do it through the court. Now we have constitutional judges on the bench, 6 of the 9, for the first time like ever. Now, I was chairman of the Judiciary Committee for Amy Coney Barrett. We put her on about a week before the election, and that was a good thing. Remember Kavanaugh? I helped get him there, and I'm proud of that. So President Trump and President Bush have given us 6 great judges, which means that you can be a pro-life state now. We did away with Roe v. Wade and put it in the hands of elected officials. This has been good for business. It's been good for the life issue. We got 3.5 years to put more judges on the bench. If we have the Senate in 27 and 28, that really does matter. I'm supposed to be chairman of the Judiciary Committee. If I win and we keep the Senate in 27, I go back on. I promise you, we're going to make hay while the sun shines. That we're going to put as many conservative judges on the bench as we can in that 2-year period, if I'm there and we keep the Senate. The stakes are high. Israel. How many of you believe God blesses those who bless Israel? You want to pull the plug on America? Pull the plug on Israel. Because God will pull the plug on us. Everybody they're fighting would kill you too if they could get here. We have any Presbyterians? You're predestined to be here. We're glad to have you. We got any Methodists? Yeah, that's a Baptist that can read. We got any Baptists? Yeah, I thought we might. I'm one. I don't care if you're a vegetarian or whatever you are. I want to make sure we can live in a world where we decide how to worship God, not some radical Islamist. Hitler wanted a master race, and he was killing everybody that didn't fit in his definition of the right kind of people. Islam will kill you if you don't bend the knee to their view of how to worship God. If you don't think they mean that, you're missing a lot. And if you don't think they want to get here, you're not listening to what they're saying. And the reason they're not getting here is because we're keeping them over there. Israel is on the front lines of this fight. Wherever they turn, there's a group that would slaughter them because they're Jewish. If Iran had a nuclear weapon, do you think they would use it? I do too. Well, I'll tell you what, they've gone backward because Trump dropped the big one on them. So he asked me what to do. He said, you know what I want to do. And he says, yeah, I know what you want to do. I just wanted to call you. You got a chance, take it. But I did tell him one thing. Anybody play golf? I told him use one more club than you need. That's why there are more bombs dropped. The general in charge told me that during one of the meetings, he said, use one more club than you need. So these things were obliterated. President Trump is doing hard things, right things, quickly. And I want to continue to be his partner. I want to help get his judges through the Senate. I want to help him manage the world. I want to help him be the commander-in-chief we need. I want to have his back in the Senate. And I'm asking you to have my back. People ask me, I think I'm very consistent. I try to help every president to the extent I can, even if they're a Democrat. I wind up fighting them most of the time. But being president is a hard job. And it's good to work with the other side when it makes sense. But it sure heck is good to fight them if your country's future's at stake. And that's what we're doing. We're having an election. I think I'm capable of winning this state better than anybody because they spent $132 million trying to beat me last time. I miss car commercials. I couldn't turn on the TV without seeing my commercial or his commercial. So I've been pretty well tested. The most money ever spent in the history of the United States Senate was spent in my race. I drive these people crazy. Between Kavanaugh and helping Trump, they hate me. And every Hollywood liberal wanted to beat me. They didn't even get a t-shirt. So I think if I win this primary, they're not going to come back here again. And that'd be a good thing because the money we spend here, we can spend over in Georgia and North Carolina to make sure we have the Senate. So that's my pitch of why I want you to keep me around. I think I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm doing my very best, but you don't get here without help. I've been helped by people from the day I got into politics, and I will not forget where I come from. You got road, water, sewer. Anybody here from Myrtle Beach? God knows you need roads. You need road, water, and sewer. Florence is changing. Downtown is getting better, right? And, you know, we did some things to help downtown. We got some tax credits to develop downtown. Florence County has got infrastructure needs. So it's water. Yeah, we put $5 million in the water treatment plant. If you don't have road, water, and sewer, you can't grow. And JD's right. The word's out. This is a nice place to come and live. We just need to up our game so we have the capability to keep it nice and keep it safe. So the last thing, how about a round of applause for all these law enforcement officers that are here to help us today? With that, I will take some questions, and you can eat while I talk. It won't bother me one bit. Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad to hear you're going back to the Judiciary Committee. We've seen with Trump now how not just the Supreme Court, but the other federal courts,
Yes.
how the judges are abusing the system. Can you give us an update on where we are with judicial appointments right now?
She asked about judicial appointments. So we're going to change the rules of the Senate in September because Democrats are blocking President Trump's nominees. 98% of Bush 1's appointments were confirmed by voice vote. Trump hadn't had one. So we're going to change the rules to deal with their obstruction so we can get the judges and everybody moving faster. So we need him to appoint more. We can't do it until he appoints. But my goal is to fill as many vacancies as we can before the midterms, and if we win, to finish it off. Only God knows what's going to happen, but if there's a Supreme Court opening, I am ready to go. But getting those judges on the court is as important to me as anything I will do for you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and I'm not sure if you're the one to talk to us about the airport.
Yeah.
I'm kind of fanatical about we need to fix up our airport. I know Congressman Fry is helping.
Yeah, well, we're trying to lengthen the runway. So, at the airport. She asked, anybody been to the airport? Yeah, well, it's the first impression you get of a place. So, I want South Carolina. Why does BMW and Michelin and Boeing come here? Because you have good workers, you have conservative government, and you have good infrastructure. So if you want to keep growing and building and getting all these companies to come to this part of South Carolina, the battery plant's on hold because we don't know what's going to happen with electric cars. airports are important to me. We put $40 million into the Myrtle Beach airport because everybody in the world wants to come to Myrtle Beach. We're going to get around to you too. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Doge. We reduced spending by $9 billion for the first time in 40 years through rescission. I was the chairman of that, and Eric Schmidt did a good job. The Doge committee went into the budget and found things that shouldn't be there, and we're trying to cut as much of it out as we can. I thought it was a good thing to do, don't y'all? Yes. Somebody ought to look at the budget. So let me tell you, if you listen to Democrats, it's like we just threw everybody out of the hospitals. Well, we didn't. Now, you remember Obama? I do. Medicaid grew 50% in 5 years. Now, how could that happen? Obamacare was expanding Medicaid away from its original purpose. If you're disabled, I am for helping you with health care. If you can't get a job because you're disabled, then I'm willing to put you on Medicaid to help you with your health care and help you feed yourself. If you're a family at the poverty level, I'm willing to make sure that your children can be on Medicaid. It's one less worry you have. But if you're able-bodied and can work, I actually want you to work. So Obama expanded Medicaid eligibility to cover able-bodied adults because he wants everybody in the country on some form of government health care. And what he did is he had less money for the disabled and the poor. And what did we do? We put a 20-hour work requirement on Medicaid if you're able to work. You thought we'd ruined the country. I'm proud of that. We saved like $800 billion. We saved $1.6 trillion over a decade by trying to make these programs more efficient, make them work, make them be for the people they were intended to be, not for everybody all the time. So Medicare, we didn't touch, but we got to save Medicare. We got Medicaid in a more sustainable position. How do you balance the budget? You spend less and you try to improve the economy to take in more. When you cut taxes, isn't it weird that you get more money in Washington? Like every time we've done it, we got more money. The more taxes you're paying says you're making more money. I want the top rates to come down. You know, Jesus wants 10%. You know, we want like half. I want to be closer to Jesus in many ways, including taxes. Jesus was a flat tax guy. So, so anyway, I'm trying to get a tax code that will allow prosperity to help revenue. We've got to control spending. Medicaid reform was essential, and we did it for the first time like ever. I was proud of it. Yes, sir. Yeah. Good question. Yeah. He asked a good question. When is somebody going to pay a price for trying to rig and cheat, right? Isn't that a good question? Yeah, well, they prosecuted Trump for breathing air. So Hillary has a basement full of government servers, and she wasn't supposed to do that. And they took the government servers and the emails, and they beat the hard drives up with hammers and did bleach bit to what was on it. They're going to put Trump in jail for moving boxes. Doesn't that piss people off? Piss me off. They tried to prosecute him in New York based on a law nobody's ever been prosecuted on before. They took a misdemeanor, added one thing to it, made it a felony, only for Trump. And so now you're asking me, what should happen when the FBI colludes with the Soros Foundation to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent? Well, we're not prosecutors, but we have a DOJ that I hope will look at this very closely. The stuff coming out shocks me, quite frankly. The email scandal of Clinton was a problem for her politically. And they literally came up with the idea of accusing Trump of being a Russian agent to change the subject. And we're finding more and more every day. I am hoping that there will be accountability, but that will be the Department of Justice. Remember the Crossfire Hurricane? I was chairman, and we went in. That was the most corrupt investigation in the history of the FBI. You had FBI lawyers lying to the FISA court about the witnesses and about who they were and what. They actually did work for the CIA, like the guy said, and they told the court he didn't. They got warrants on Carter Page that were crooked as a snake. And they were out to get Trump and destroy his presidency. It started before he won, and it continued after he won, and we got a chance to make people pay a price. And let me tell you why they should. This is not the way to run a country. Good question. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Do you think President Trump will be able to get rid of
Do you think President Trump will be able to get rid of voting by mail? I'm okay with trying to get rid of voting by mail. I think I want to make it easy, but I want to have some responsibility about voting. I want you to be able to vote easily, but also fairly. How many people believe COVID created a nightmare for mail-in voting? And I told Trump, I said, I think the main reason you lost was mail-in voting was rampant. And the system wouldn't set up to verify a signature. Okay, when I go to vote or you go to vote, you got to show an ID, right? That's a good thing. And somebody will look at you and say, hey, that's you. Well, how do you do that when you vote by mail? So you got to verify signatures. It's very complicated. I'd like to get back to voting the simplest way possible. You show up, somebody identifies you as you, and you vote, and a paper ballot is good to me as long as you just keep them. I don't know if we can change that or not, but one thing I don't want to do is for Washington to take over voting. If we ever do that, we'll never win another election. So we're trying to balance an act here. We're trying to, Democrats in H.R. 1 wanted to basically require what you're talking, ballot harvesting. You know, there are people in California get 6 and 7 ballots at the same residence. I don't want to go down that road. Good question. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Do you ask me? Write that down. Write that down. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Good question. I think I heard half of it. It had something to do with schools. You're a great person. So here is my answer to education. Abolish the Federal Department of Education. Send the money back to local folks, like you said, and school choice. As a nation, we should be embarrassed that based on where you live determines what kind of education you get. If you're a poor Black or Hispanic child in one of these big cities, your chance of having the skills you need to compete in a very competitive world are much less just because of your zip code. The teachers' unions will manage schools to their benefit, I think to the exclusion of quality outcomes. If I could do one thing, if I could be king for a day, I'd be fairly benevolent. Uh, but I would say that every child and every parent in every state should have the ability to have more than one choice when it comes to educating their children. How many barbecue restaurants are between here and Seneca? You can walk on them. The reason we have competition in the private sector is we believe that's the best way to get quality. In education, we have a monopoly. I want to break that monopoly up. I want you to pray for President Trump and his education secretary, Linda, that they can break the monopoly in Washington, free up the regulations and the mandates, and send the money back here, and that states over time will open up their school systems to choice. I went to a public school, a great public school. It's a blessing to have a good public school. It's a nightmare when your public school fails and you have no other choice. One more question. Biden did what now? Biden retired. Yeah. Well, yeah, he made right. He had Medicaid pay for illegals. Do you know there are over 1 million illegal immigrants on Medicaid? So would you like to get them off? So let me just, here's what I learned. If you will pay people not to work, they will take you up on it. I don't blame them. I blame us for paying somebody not to work. I'm all for helping people. Again, my parents died 15 months apart. My sister was 13. She got Pell Grants to go to college. I mean, there's a place for all this. But it shouldn't be anyway, the bottom line here, illegal immigration is a problem because the magnets are strong. If you set 1 foot in America under Biden, you're going to be on a plane, and we were paying for it, to go to some part of the United States. You were going to get housing, and you were going to get money, and people took us up on it. Why would you come to America? You know what they're not doing now? They ain't coming. Because they may wind up in Cuba or down in Florida in Alcatraz. So, and it's not being mean, it's just having control of your sovereignty. 11 million people, ma'am, came here in a 4-year period, and we have no idea who they are and where most of them are at. All these young people that were dropped off at our border, only God knows what they went through. Illegal immigration is not a good thing. It is a bad thing. And we need legal immigration. I don't mind people coming here, working, being part of our country, but they got to learn our language. They have to pass the English proficiency exam. They got to pay taxes. And they got to get in the back of the line and work their way through the front of the line. That's rational. What Biden did was he opened our country up to anybody from anywhere. And that's a national security nightmare. The number of people who came here from other countries that are dangerous is more than I can count. So the best success we've had in the first 6 months is regaining sovereignty over our border. Have you heard of the Darien Pass in Panama? That's where thousands came through coming from Central and South America. Last month, they had not one person. Why? Because the drug cartels and the human traffickers are having a hard time charging $10,000 when people believe you'll get deported as soon as we catch you. And what I want to do here in South Carolina, I want our local law enforcement to work with ICE. And when they find somebody DUI or any other offense, and they pop up being here legally, I want them to call the closest ICE office, turn them over to ICE, and deport them. Now, that program is a good program, and Joe Biden shut it down. In the big, beautiful bill, we added $1 billion to get it up and running. If you're a law enforcement officer in South Carolina, you got a retirement problem. You got to work to 28, not 25 years, and that's a hard job because we don't have enough money in the retirement system. What I want to do is create a grant program from Washington. And the more you do to help ICE, the more money you'll get from the federal government. And I want that money to be able to use to recruit and retain police officers. Let me tell you, right now under the system, you got to work to 28. You got to be out a year before you can go back. If you're out a year, you're not coming back. I had a meeting with all the sheriffs of South Carolina, and they told me they've never seen a more difficult time to recruit and retain law enforcement officers as right now, because the way we treat them. Lost respect. And we regained that respect by respecting their hard work, honoring their retirement commitment. So I'm going to try to meet with the governor, and I want South Carolina to be the best state in the nation to partner with ICE. I want every legal immigrant cartel to know this is the last place you want to come. Just keep going down 95. One more question from a man. Has any man here got a question? Because these women have been asking great questions. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, yeah. Well, the first mental health crisis is in Congress. Yeah. I don't know how to fix it. But this is a good question. How many of you believe that mental health treatment should be part of insurance? I do. So I actually support a bill that would require insurance companies to cover mental illness. Because you get cancer, you get covered, you get your leg. At least in my family, there are mental illness problems. And it can happen to anybody. Drugs, fentanyl coming in here killing everybody. You can get, if you get in a car wreck, you get on painkillers, you can't get off. And they just load you up, right? So this is really a good question. Homelessness and mental illness go together. You can take people out of the tent, but if you don't get them treatment, they're going to be back somewhere else. And President Trump, and I talked about that this morning, he wants $2.5 billion, I'm going to try to find him the money, to repave the roads, take the graffiti off the building, refurbish the parks, and give homeless people some place to go other than a tent on the side of the road. And he said, most of these people have drug and mental health problems, and he wants to treat the condition. That's the kind of president that I think we need. Somebody with empathy. So mental illness is a disease that you should not be ashamed of. We should all help. So I got to go. We'll stay around and visit for a little bit. But I'm excited about the possibilities of our country in the next 3.5 years. This could be our golden age. All these jobs are coming back because Trump has got these tariffs. You keep using those tariffs, Mr. President, to get better deals for us. You keep bringing these companies back so they can do business here. Now, the goal is to get better deals, and I think we're on the way a lot of good deals. So I want to stick with President Trump the best I can, to have a tax code that rewards innovation. I want to have trade policy that's fair. I want to get our debt under control by doing more spending cuts. There's a lot I want to do. But most important job I have, I think, for you is to make sure America is safe. The states don't control the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps. We do. I was an Air Force officer for 33 years. I consider my job of being a United States Senator, the primary goal and the primary job of the federal government is to keep us safe, to give the military what they need to win the war if they get in one, Try to avoid war if you can, but if you get in one, win it quickly. And I'll say this, I'll toot my own horn. I don't think anybody in the Senate's more dedicated to helping the military than I am. I don't think anybody in the Senate spent more time trying to figure out what's going on in the world than I have. One day I'm in Aner, and the next day I'm in Afghanistan. And they got nothing to do with each other. But I do, well, I don't think so. But I do know this, that if you don't watch it, they'll be here again. And I'd rather fight them over there than fight them here. I'd rather have partners than do it by myself. I'd rather be in favor of God than out of favor by sticking with Israel. So I know who I am and I know what I believe. And if you like what I'm doing, I'm asking for your help and support. If you don't like what I'm doing, pray for me. God bless y'all.